Hi, Shelly here. This week I'm creating on a 12 by 12 hardboard canvas. I want to start out with collage, use some yarn from my stash to make an owl, and then I'll add in some holly at the end. So let's have some fun and see how it goes. Bits of paper that I've chosen, I kind of want my background to be lighter with a few spots of the green. Not that you're going to see a whole lot of it in the end, but there'll be a little bit. And I think instead of tearing papers this time, I think I'm going to cut some squares and rectangles and whatnot, just for something different. All right, something like that. I've got a couple of spots but it never goes back exactly like I've got it anyway. It's just for me to have an idea. Got my matte medium. I like my texture to be all the same. Nope, I just saw a piece there that I missed. Not good to be using my trimmer with sticky hands, but there, love it. Okay, so now we dry. Now let's clean up those edges. All right, I love it so far. What do we want to do next? All right, I'm going to put out just a little bit of my favorite greens. And I want this to be light so that you can see my papers a little bit, and possibly, I don't want it to be too dark. So I'm going to start off with my marsh green. I think I'm going to put a little bit of my golden yellow out here as well. Okay, I'm pleased with that. So now we will dry this, figure out what our next step is. I've got my stencil that I cut out of paper here. I've got my clothespin and a makeup sponge here. And I'm just going to go in with my yellow, just a little bit of yellow to kind of put around this edge. I don't want it to be too crazy obvious, but just enough to guide me. And who knows, this may not be enough. Hopefully it is going to be. I'm not going to do his feet. Yeah, that's just enough of a haze there. I want to make sure this is completely dry. Do need to put his face on though before we do his fur. Okay, let's see if we got our guy lined up here. Now the hard part is I just want to do his eyes. And so I think I'm just going to have to put a little dab, and then I'll have to come back in and clean up. I want to do his eyes and his beak. Whenever when I'm doing something specific and I think I probably won't use that stencil over again a million times, you know, it's not going to be like a big 12 by 12 pattern that I'll use over and over again. Whenever it's something specific like this, I just like to use cardstock. I can use it again, and the paint on here just makes it more stable. And as long as you wipe the paste off, it will just make it more stable, and you can use this again. I don't throw these away unless they're damaged. It saves me on stencil material if it's something that I'm only going to use on a, you know, specific canvas like this one typically. Paper's a lot less expensive than stencil material, so I like to only use stencil material when I know it's something I'll use on the repeat whenever possible. Now, I'm not trying to get this perfect, but I just want to get it kind of close. And then I'll go in with my baby wipe and kind of clean up any of those areas where I went over that's puppy's having a dream under my feet. I'm going to call that good and let this dry completely. I think I'll shoot it with just a little bit of heat just to get it started. Okay, it's the next morning. Everything is dry. And there's just a little bit, I couldn't get the points off my eyes, so I'm just gonna go pinch those off real quick. There's gonna be a lot of texture there, but I love that, and that's okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put out a tiny little bit of my dark gray. Then I'm going to put out a little bit of my 2 yellows for his beak. And then I'm going to go, because I want to use the same brush, I'm just going to go get a mix of my yellows. Ooh, that is way too bright a yellow. Let's just put our base coat on there. And I'm gonna stop and see what the puppies are chewing on. I give them all kinds of things to chew on, but it seems like they always seek out other things. It's never enough. I really got the modeling paste thick on here, so they're standing up about 1/8 of an inch off the canvas. So I want to go in and cover up all that white. Okay, we'll let that dry really quick. This time I did not want to put his feet. So I think maybe what we'll do is maybe set him on a rock. Okay. And then have his fur come down and cover his feet. Because I'm gonna have the holly in here anyway. So, So I think what I want to do is put like maybe a tree stump, maybe just like a little kind of a something coming down here. He's sitting on the edge of this tree stump maybe. And then his feet are going to be covered by his feathers, the way he's sitting. So I think what we'll do, get a little bit of our burnt umber and our gray, a big chunk in there. And then I am just gonna go through, let's get a couple of browns out here. So we've got our brown, but it's not alive and healthy anymore because it's been chopped off or it fell off because it's broke off. Hit by lightning, who knows? So we gotta get some gray to make it look a little older and not as healthy maybe. Okay, I think that looks like a tree stump. This time I'm doing kind of a barred owl, B-A-R-R-E-D, I think. And he looks very similar to the great horned owl that I designed this stencil from, but he doesn't have the ears poking up. His ears are more inside of his head, but the body and the shape are all very similar to the great horned owl. All right, I've got my owl, kind of what I was designing this guy off of. I should have done this first before I did my eyes and my nose. This is what happens when you jump into unknown territories. Got my just a little bit of off-white here. Nothing too permanent. And then it looks like in our picture that he has a little brown right in this area. And he'll have just a little bit of brown right in here. Okay, so we've got our brown in here, and then we'll have a little bit of brown right here. And then right here is kind of his neck area. So I'm gonna just put that in to help me keep things straight as I go. I don't want to get to gluing on his feathers, excuse me, and then forget what I'm doing. Doesn't have to be perfect, but just so we have an idea. And then we'll do a little bit more brown here, his brown eyeshadow, brown around his beak, a little more brown here in this V, brown on the back side, and more white on the front. Okay, I'm very nervous and excited, but nervous. Okay, because we're doing his face more the white, I think I'm going to go ahead with my off-white and do this a little bit on this side that I did on that side. And then I'm gonna stop there because I don't think it's gonna matter, but if something pokes through on one side, I'd hate it to be different on the other side. But I really think I don't need to paint underneath. I just need to put my yarn. I think it's a good plan, but we shall see. Maybe it'll be a complete fail, I do not know. I'm gonna do my little hot glue gun because it's just a little bit faster, and I've got to decide what kind of how am I going to put this down. I don't think I want to fold it over and glue it down like I did with my sheep. I don't think I want to make little knots. What if I take just little bits and then glue it in? I think that's what we're going to do. So let's cut a bunch of these, both colors. And then maybe start in the middle and work our way out. I think we'll start, and I can always trim them up if it's too much, and I can add if it's not enough. So I think what the trick is going to be is to move the yarn over rather than getting the hot glue in the yarn that I've already done. while I'm here. And then we will go into our dark gray. Touch up a couple of these spots. There. Now we can go pull off some of that hair. Just reveal the parts that are stuck down. Well, as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, didn't I have some yarn that was a little bit on the lighter side? Yes, I did. So I went and looked through further and found this one, and I don't know if you can definitely tell. It's lighter, and I'm gonna go with this one. Totally had forgotten about it until I got into this. Okay, so I think again, it's best to start in and work our way out. And I like just putting the glue down, sticking a bunch of yarn in it, and then once that gets set, then you can pull the excess away. I think it would be too cumbersome to try to do each little area. All right, I'm gonna stop there, let this dry a little bit, and then we'll reveal what we have and see if this is working or if we need to change techniques or what. Definitely hairy. Now I wish his eyes were sticking up 1/4 of an inch instead of just 1/8 of an inch. I'm gonna have to touch up the eyes again there. Okay. I feel like I need a little bit more in here. Nice to have a baby wipe here to wipe off my glue tip. It's getting pretty fuzzy. Yeah, if you try something like this, I would definitely say that it would be better to build up your eyes. In fact, I think I'm going to go back in with some modeling paste and build up my eyes a little bit more. If I was starting this project over, I would say to paint the background white. Paint your entire bird and then come back with the modeling paste higher and proceed, because I do see a little bit of green in the background. It's not bad, but I do see a little bit of green, and putting the off-white first would have prevented that. So yeah, I think if I would have done the whole bird, just stenciled it on, it would have been so much easier in the off-white. Now I want to go in and build up my eyes and my beak a little bit. But the good thing is while this is drying, we can continue on with the body. Plenty to do. I kind of want to do our wing because once I get going, I'm afraid I'm going to lose sight of what is. So let's go ahead and kind of make our dark line here where the wing starts and the back happens. Instead of a barn owl, this could be the long-haired owl. Now he's got bug eyes. Okay. I like it. I think it's really cute. We definitely need to trim him up. And I do like that you can see a difference between the wing a little bit. It's not big. I will let our paste dry it's drying, and it's gonna take a little bit more time before I can work around it without the fear of smashing it like I've been doing. All right, I'm going through and trimming up some areas, filling in some areas. My eyes and beak are not 100% dry yet, but they're enough dry that they'll keep on drying through the next 48 hours, but I will be able to paint them now. All right, I think that is really good. I hope you agree and like it as well. Now I will go back in and do my yellow, trying not to get it all over and all this hairiness. I am also wanting to add a little bit more in here. There, I like that much better. This is one of those times when you think you're done, but you're done, but then you see another little spot. Here was my original stencil, and so I just cut it again a little bit smaller. So I think this size is much better. I went and found some of these red Christmas balls I've used for different things over the years. I think I want to do some raised balls in my holly instead of stenciling them. As a test, I just put out some red paint, got this painted, and it's just fine. So I'm going to do that first so these can be drying. So I will set these aside to dry completely. I think I want to do my holly in a kind of a dark blue-green. So I'm just going to start by mixing these two right now. Work it into my makeup sponge a little bit and then gently go in. I think what I'm going to do put out some regular green. Put a little of that on also. Just here and there, so I don't have just one color. A few years ago on my Joy video, oh, there's two here, cut out some holly leaves and embossed them and put them onto the canvas, and I really love how that turned out. I have that one on my mantle for Christmas every year. Maybe it would be fun to do a similar thing on this canvas with just a few leaves here and there. I'm going to go through and use my stencil to outline a few leaves and see if we want to do that. Okay, I think that's good. So now I've got a little piece of craft foam here, you know, that you buy at Walmart or wherever, that's thin. And then I'm going to turn my leaves over on the side that has the pencil marks. And I'm just going to emboss my leaves real quick to give them a little bit more dimension. I've got this little nail tool thing that I bought on, it came with a bunch of them. They were nail tools a few years back from Amazon that have the little round nibs at the end. I just thought they'd be great to come in handy for doing this kind of stuff. So now I'm going to put my leaf down, and from the center I'm going to go up to my point in kind of a little arc there. I know this is going to be hard to see probably. And then I'm going to come down in an arc to the middle of my leaf. And then I'm going to go through and push just a little bit out to my points. So that when you flip it over, I don't know if you can see that or not. Move it so you can maybe catch the light a little bit, but it gives just a little bit of dimension to the leaf for the detail. All right, so I'm going to go through really quick and do all my leaves that way. Let's do one more. So I like to start in the middle so I don't mess up my point by trying to bring it this way. And then come down in an arc. Doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to go over it a couple times. I don't want to go too crazy with it. Tear my paper. And then you can go up or down, whichever way you feel you can do it without messing up your points. Again, we're not going for perfection here, just adding a little bit of dimension. Okay. Now I've got my embossed leaves, and I'm just going to take a little bit of my olive green I put a little bit, just, come on, focus, just a little something. So they're not all the same green. And then the last thing I want to do to my leaves is Mod Podge them. And I just take a little bit of Mod Podge on the back side, and I like to tap it on so my texture is not, so you don't see brush strokes. And then I lay it on some wax paper to dry. Okay, now we'll let these dry and then we'll figure out how we want to attach them. Our leaves are dry. So now we've just got to decide where we want them. Now just to give them a little more dimension, I'm going to fold them kind of in the middle. I'm not going crazy with it, but just a little bit. And I want to put a little glue here at the bottom and then a little glue towards the top. I don't have to glue the whole thing down, I don't think, but down the middle so that my edges continue to curl up a little bit. Now, where do we want our little berries? So now I'm just going to go through with my tweezers and clean up any areas of cobwebs. Well, I'm not sure why it stopped recording, but okay. It happens every once in a while. I'm not sure why. Anyways, what I did is I took a little brush and went over my eyes with some Mod Podge because I just feel like the matte color is not, I mean, eyes are shiny, right? Or glossy. So yeah, just put a little bit of Mod Podge on my eyes, a little bit on the nose, and now we'll let this dry. All right, so now I'm going to take a little bit of my red and just go around and touch up any spots where I feel like the glitter is showing through, or I need to cover up some of that glue. Now while that's drying, I'm going to go in here with my tweezers and just on a couple of edges lift up a little bit here and there, not all over. I'm not trying to unglue my leaves, but if any of it got where I feel like it's a little flat from gluing them down, I can just go and Lift them up a little bit. Well, that's my canvas. I really enjoyed making this and I'm very pleased at how it turned out. Hey, I hope you'll try some of these techniques in one of your upcoming projects. And I hope you'll join me in my next video. Bye for now.